Hey everyone, it is Lokai again coming to you with another little video. Today I'm going to mostly be talking, it's probably not going to showcase anything just yet. I'm still trying to figure out what I'm going to showcase exactly. I have some ideas, but I've not gotten around to getting the footage for that yet. So instead I'm going to release a kind of a short video kind of talking about some of the, I guess you could call them controversial topics within the universe. So just bear with me. It's just going to be me kind of chit-chatting and ranting a little bit, so keep that in mind. So today I'm going to basically talk about stats on gear, how those affect things, along with the base stats that most races have. This includes the height and weight values. So if you aren't aware, and I think most people are by now, when you choose a race, you are given basically a base stats up for that race. Your height and weight will modify those values, and then if you, depending on whether you choose balanced, striker, or key blaster, those values will be modified again. So what this is kind of bad, mostly for the height and weight values. The rest of it I can live with a little bit. I've dealt with base race values in the past. I don't really like them. I wish everybody had the same basic stats, and it was just like a racial ability that every race got. That was the cornerstone of what race you picked. I would prefer them to just say, here's 50 points, distribute them however you want, and that's your starting stats. And then when you choose striker, key blaster, whatever, then it would modify it a little bit. You're still going to get min-max builds and stuff like that, but that's Then, back on topic, so the game modifies your stats based on your choices, and then your gear also modifies those values. So why is this a big deal? Well, the thing about Xenoverse is they gave you this character creation, and it said, hey, go make your perfect Dragon Ball character. But then you really get into it and it's like, oh, but you have to wear this set, because if you don't, you're kind of gimping yourself a little bit. Now, for a while, I kept saying it really didn't matter. You could do everything in the game. It wasn't going to make a big difference. I know I had read the values, but I need to see that stuff for myself. I need to run my own tests. It's not that I don't trust people, but sometimes people make it out to be a bigger deal than it is. So I ran the values for my character specifically. It was a 13% difference between a tall, large character and my small character. That's without gear. And when you throw gear on there, it's going to be 25% different damage difference, and that's not including health and all that stuff. To me, that's completely imbalanced. I don't want to feel that I have to. Now, I'm lucky because the build I chose works for the character that I built. But I want to do a striker Majin, but if I do that, I need to make a Majin that looks terrible, and so my striker Majin will probably either be severely inefficient, or I won't like the way that it looks and all that stuff, and it'll just bug me. But that's, again, another story for another day. So, the question is this okay, or was this a bad decision by Dimps? My opinion is it wasn't a good idea. But I think this really comes down to a cultural difference. The way that things are perceived in Asia and Japan is completely different from the way we perceive things. That's why if you play a Korean MMO, there's a lot of grinding in that, because that's what they like to do. And culture plays a big part in that. So, take DBO for instance. For those who don't know, there was a Dragon Ball MMO. I was lucky enough to play it a short time before it disappeared. I may throw a picture of my character up there just so you can see it. But yeah, I played a Majin in that, and the Majin I main is based off of the Majin I played then, although it's changed a little bit, But basically, in that game there were quests, and for a time, those would get you up to a certain level. But once you reach that threshold, you're expected to grind. And there are certain places that, you're just expected to grind. And a lot of things in that game were go kill this many enemies, or, go grind this. How you got the Dragon Balls in that game? You just killed one enemy over and over and over, and you prayed that you got it. Sometimes you would get it, in a couple of kills, and sometimes it would take you all day. That eventually killed it for me. But you have to remember, I'm a Westerner. I grew up with games like Warcraft and City of Heroes, things that had, well, I shouldn't say that. I started playing MMOs with Ultima Online, but I didn't like them because there was no questing. So I think culture played a part in why it was made the way it is. And if we look at Xenoverse, there's still very much this Japanese culture kind of in the game. I don't think that'll go away. I think in Xenoverse 2, if they make one, I think they will. I think the game did way better than they thought it would. I think the RNG is going to stay. I don't think they'll make it like we want it. If they do, it'll be a US version is a little bit different than the Japanese version, and they'll make modifications. See, that's the thing. Like when a Korean company or a Japanese company brings a game over to the West, like an MMO, I'll use an MMO because no matter what anyone says, Xenoverse is designed and based after a Korean-style action MMO. Go play Vindicus. You'll notice a lot of similar features in that game. Let's see, Vindicus is that way. DFO is that way. Let's see. Well, DFO is kind of a side-scrolling brawler, but it's all a lot of the same features. L-Sword is a little bit that way. So it has this kind of... I really think it was originally meant to be a Dragon Ball MMO, and they decided, well, let's just release it as a $60 game. For whatever reason. So, the question is, will that change? Can we look forward to Dimps making any drastic changes with our Xenoverse? The answer is probably no. I don't see them doing any major changes to the game, although I wish they would. However, I do hope maybe one day modders might change it. But again, the problem with that is, okay, say a modder changes those files and removes all stats from characters or whatever they do. Say races are balanced now, and clothes no longer have stats on them. Well, if you play with somebody who has the base game, they're going to have that, and you're not, because everything is done client side. So you literally have to find people that play the same way as you do. And I'm a big fan of modders. I know some people in the community are like, "Oh, you shouldn't mod the game. It's such a bad thing." Modding in itself isn't bad as long as you're not basically cheesing, giving yourself things you shouldn't have. Now, my friend and I, who I play with a lot, he basically disagrees with me on some things when it comes to modding. Like, I don't care if they add attacks to characters that are already in game, but he said, and he made a good point, that can imbalance things, because we're not really supposed to have that, so that may not be balanced for players to even have it. And that's a good point. I'm really hoping modders at one point fix some of the problems that we Westerners have with the game, because I don't think Dimps is going to change it. There will be at least I don't feel there will be any drastic changes to the game. So my honest opinion is the stats aren't a good idea. They're going to force people to play a certain way. But then, that all rolls into, well, the game really isn't balanced anyway. Maybe it was never meant to be. I don't know. But this is why I don't PvP that much unless it's with friends. It's just because the game can't be competitive because it isn't balanced. Until you balance all of your attacks, until everything works a certain way, until they fix, Super Saiyan. And I know people are going to say, oh, but it's fine. I don't think it is. I think giving infinite ki to any one race alone is just a bad idea. Even if everybody could use it, then it would just it would cause all kinds of problems. But that's an argument for another day. So I don't think we're going to see a change, no drastic changes. I don't like that there's stats on clothing. I don't like the stats are on our race, our height and weight. I've thought about, what if a modder goes in and just changes the values to height and weight, so that, I chose small, but maybe I want that character to have the values of a tall character. You could probably do that, but then people will probably say, oh, that's cheating. And maybe it is. Depends on if the speed goes with it. Like, if you can adjust the actual attack speed for a small character so it's the same as the large, then I think it's okay, but that's my opinion. I just want to make a character the way I want to make it. I don't want to feel punished for doing it. So, like, I have all these characters that I've made, but I really can only play a couple of them because the others aren't efficient. Well, at least in serious PvP. Like, again, I don't do that, so I guess it's not an issue for me. But I know there's a lot of you guys out here that, you know, maybe you want to make your character a certain way, but you can't because the game limits you. So you're forced to wear this and look this way, you know, height and weight wise. And it's just not a very good system. I hope in the future iterations of the game they change it, but I'm not sure they will because, you know, they're a Japanese company, and the first thing they're going to do is they're going to make that game for Japanese audience. Now, maybe we'll get lucky and the feedback, and if sales are really super good here in the States and in EU too, I think technically they're not Westerners, but I think they kind of fall in with us. Maybe they'll change it, and maybe they'll listen to what we have to say. But notoriously, I've played enough MMOs, I've played enough games in the course of my life that I don't think it'll change. I think we'll get stuck with this system. It's going to be in every Xenoverse game. It's something we're just going to have to deal with. And I don't like it. I don't like it at all. But tell me what you guys think. Do you think clothing should have stats, shouldn't have stats? Do you think the future games will have it? Do you think Dimps will listen? Do you think Dimps will change anything major? And this is just kind of me talking and ranting. So, you know, as always, you guys have a nice day. You take it easy, and I will see you later. So, you know, you guys tell me what you think in the comments. Let me know in a private message if you don't want to comment. Just tell me what you think. And as always, you guys take it easy. Like and subscribe if you like this and want to see more. And I will see you later.
At this rate, you may well become someone to face me in. Very good. You were worth all that waiting.